Philipp, thank you for having us here in Riesenbeck International. It's a beautiful place.
Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, it's nice to have you here.
I don't need to introduce too much. I mean, obviously, you're a frequent member on the Team Germany. You've already won two of the most prestigious Grand Prix in the world, in Aachen and Spruce Meadows. Recently becoming a second or silver medal at the European Championships, and also in Prague 2 weeks ago, having a fantastic result. Tell me, you've been working for Ludger Beerbaum for over 20 years. I've actually spoken to some people who have worked there as well. And their feedback was it can be a bit of a competitive environment. How do you see that?
Yes, it is for sure a place, like if you dream from the big sport, the place to be. I don't think there's any stable close of producing so many good riders and being home held so many top 10 riders than here in Riesenbeck. It made us proud that it's such an environment to ride, and I think competition is always good. It brings you always forward, and I think it makes a huge difference if you are basically riding around at home alone, or you're surrounded by 5, 6, 7 top riders every day. And you have to motivate yourself every day. You see what your colleagues are doing, how strong they are, what they're doing better. And I think this is one of the secrets why we have been producing so many good riders here, is because of the consistent competition in a healthy way, of course.
So what you're saying is the competitors, you're all competitors, together watching your colleagues, but also competitors, how they work, how they ride. Is that an environment that you thrive on?
Yes, I think like in my case, it for sure also it helps a lot. Like seeing over the years, my probably the person I have learned most from was obviously Ludger, yes, but even more I would say Marco Kutscher. I spent the first 10 years of my career together with him. He was basically also there as a rider, means he was also 7 days a week with me, more or less, at home from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, seeing him every day riding. For me, even now, he's probably not in the big sport, but I'm sure if you ask most of the colleagues who is the best rider, they will still name Marco Kutscher. So I learned a lot from him. But then you see also totally different characters and different styles of riders, like Richie Vogel, a young upcoming superstar of a rider, been with me, being my assistant rider for 3 years. Seeing what drive those young people have, it motivates you. Like I feel old compared to him. That's very motivating. Or like Henrik van Eckermann for sure.
Yeah.
Or like I said, now Christian Kuckuck, Owen McMahon.
Yeah.
There've been so many. So it's really helping, and it's fun to watch. And you always have to make sure that they don't overlap you.
Yeah, yeah. How do you make sure that they don't?
I mean, I like the sport. I like to win. I'm a little bit, probably for my character, I'm not so hot. I'm a bit more on the calm side, and this is also a strength. And I do think about what I'm doing, especially with horses. It's better, like sometimes you're young and you're over motivated, or you can think twice what you're exactly doing. And I'm more like really making sure that I do the right move. And but you have to always be there and have to give every day a challenge and compete against the younger generation. And but in the end, this is a sport. But on the very end, it's you have to understand the horses, and you have to understand what the horses want and what the horses need. And if you're good with that, there will always be a place for you in that sport.
Yeah. Do you believe that understanding the horses, what they need, is that what the sport is about at the end of the day?
I agree with that 100%. there is so many good riders in the world. Like you put them on a horse and they are able to jump a 160 track, no problem. But it's not about that. It's basically the management, seeing what does your horse need, what's the problem, why am I stuck on a certain point, how to get to the next level, what like feeling, sitting on the horse, feeling what is the problem and how can I solve it. And I think between the good riders or the riders also winning maybe a Grand Prix and the riders who are there for a long time, always be there on the top with different horses, that makes a huge difference. So I mean, like I said, to be there and to win the Grand Prix is one thing, but to be consistently there over many years and being able to keep your horses for many years in the sport, this is a totally different game than just winning one Grand Prix.
Yeah. Tell me more about that, because I think this is such an important topic. Listening to your horse's feeling when you're riding, but also in general, what a horse actually needs. How do you do that? Like, is this a conscious thing, or do you just do it second nature? Tell me more.
I think it's a mix of talent like that, you know how to understand the horse, and also experience. I have done for sure also many mistakes, and I think it's very important that you learn of those mistakes. Like in my younger years, my motivation was high up, and I probably didn't listen as well to the horse as I do now, and I was asking often too much from them because I wanted the result too early. But the horse tells you basically when is it really ready for not just competing, but also maybe going in the jump off a little faster. And I think this is something you need to feel, and in the same time you have to be patient. You have to be patient and have the feeling for the horse and the right experience. And I think that's an important thing in the sport, and that makes a big difference.
Is that something you only pick up on when you're competing, when you're at the show in the ring, or is this feeling that the horse is ready, feeling that you can go a little faster? Is that already something that you pick up on when you're just working at home?
You're talking about two different kind of feelings. Like there's one, the feeling in the ring, to know how to pick up the rhythm and to catch the jumps in a good rhythm, and as with feeling, yes. But some of this feeling has nothing to do with basically having a feel for the horses at home. So there is some horses that are probably a bit nervous in the ring, and they're not the greatest 5-star level riders, but they're probably very good with young horses, or they're really good in educate them, and they really feel what the horses need at the daily base at home, and what it brings a horse forward to develop a young horse into a Grand Prix horse. And that's mainly at home, to feel what the need of the horse is, of the individual horse. And I think this is two different feelings. Ideally you have both, but there's also great guys who bring horses up and you don't probably know their names because they're not really doing the 5-star levels.
Mm-hmm. Would you consider yourself being good at really feeling what a horse needs to develop and to become and to stay at the top?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm proud of for sure of my winnings, but what makes it special is for when I do win with horses which I brought up, and I think there is of course a lot of great riders, but I don't think there's so many who basically, let's say, break in or have a horse since is 4, 5, 6 years old, and then bringing it up to win a 5-star Grand Prix. And I had in my career, I didn't count, but at least 10 horses which I had since the very young years, and I brought them up to the 5-star level and been probably also able to win the 5 stars. And this means for me personally much more than getting a 14-year-old Grand Prix horse and being able to compete with it the next week in a big class. But to be able to bring him from the first step to the highest step, this is something what is my drive, what makes me very happy and pleased, and this is something what I really enjoy.
Let's make that specific. Like, what is one of your most proudest moments?
One of my most proudest moments, yeah, I had in my early years, my first horse where I was successful in 5-star level was a mare called Souvenir. That's 18 years ago, 20 years ago almost. God, I feel really old when I say 20 years ago. So let's say 18. And I got her as a 3-year-old. I broke her in. I just started more or less with Ludger at that time. She was a self-bred mare from Madeleine Winter-Schulze, our long-term time sponsor. And I had the mare from the very beginning, and I did the young horse championship as a 5- and 6-year-old, and then did some youngster classes as a 7-year-old, and as a 9-year-old I won the German championships. I was in the team for the in Aachen of the Nations Cup. I won 5-star Grand Prix with her, and I had that until she was 15. And that was for sure something, especially in that stage, what made me proud. And yeah, like I said, to bring them up is very special.
Yeah, nice. 2 weeks ago, you had the super finale, Super Cup in Prague. That was quite an extraordinary finale, wasn't it? Tell me.
Yes, for all the people listening to that, and the people who haven't been in Prague, probably. That show there is just something completely different, and our sport does not have a second event like in Prague. Everything on that show is extra and a little different, and you don't feel like you're actually at the horse show. Like, you could go to that show with just somebody who has no idea about horses, and he would have a great time.
Right.
It's like a real show.
Yep.
And then combined with having the very, very best riders, horse combinations in the world there, it's a real championship this weekend.
Yeah.
The courses are extremely tough and hard. And we had a lot of pressure because it's a team competition. So 3 riders, you don't have the scratch result. So you really have to, every single pole is counting. And then it plays a huge financial role also, like it goes for a lot of prize money, and you have the investors, sponsors, everybody really being there, and you want to perform well. And then we were winning already the overall 2 weeks before in Riyadh, which was great. And then of course another big prize pot in Prague coming up. And then I was last to go on Sunday in the final day, in front of 15,000 people in this O2 arena in Prague, which is the most beautiful arena I've ridden in. And then really last competitor, and I had to go clear to win, and I could not even be too slow, so I had to be clear in 7.2 seconds. So the pressure was absolute on this maximum. And then if you can deliver, that felt very, very good. Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you deal with that pressure? I mean, like you said, it's the last rider. You have to be clear to win.
Yeah.
It's the whole team. It's not just you. There is also a time limit. So, you know, there's so much pressure. How do you cope with that? Just walk us through, like, what happened in the warm-up before going in. Like, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like with winning the overall in Riyadh 2 weeks before, we said, okay, we have already had an unbelievable season. We had 10 podiums out of 15, which is incredible. We had the highest points of all teams in history. So we had an incredible year, incredible season, which wasn't easy because I was out with my broken foot for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Ludger broke his hip, Owen broke his hand. So there was, in June, we were really tight on riders, and we managed it somehow. Don't ask me how, but we somehow managed it to get through. So that was already very emotional. And then actually the Prague thing was a bit of a bonus, but we still wanted to make history and basically be able to win the overall and the playoffs. No team ever has done this. And this special event, Prague, we want to be anyway good. And then I had a bad day on Friday. My horse Day has not really jumped indoor. He spent it last year in Wellington, so he hasn't been really in the indoor season. And I felt him very green and a bit shy on the Friday class. I had 4 down. It's just totally untypical for him. And then I was obviously then you think, shit, what am I doing? I had no other options. We didn't have another horse there or another rider there who could join. But I felt like, you know what, this is something very unordinary for him that he has to fall down, and I felt him just a bit shy and green, and he's a fighter and he will for sure, with a Saturday a day off, Sunday he will be fine. And then the pressure was on, obviously. We were last team to go because we won. Went in and we did a really, really good result already in the first round. I was clear. My colleague Owen McMahon on Mila was clear, and Christian had one down. So we were together with another team on 4 faults, Falkenswald United. And then walking the course for the second round, it was a massive track again. I said, God, one more round like this, I'm not sure if we can keep up with them, because Falkenswald, they looked really strong. And then they really delivered, clear in 4. So they had a total of 8 points after 2 rounds. Without a scratch result is extremely good on that level. And I said, you know what, somehow it feels like it's their day. It's not meant to be. But we will try our best. And then I watched Owen go, and he was clear. I said, oh, God, okay, we are there. And then Christian had an unlucky rail again in the second round, and then it was clear that I cannot have any mistakes. I have to be clean and in a time of 72 seconds. And then the speaker mentioned, if I have a rail down, it costs me 1 million. It didn't help. I said, shit, now you really have to make sure everything is there. But then actually you know you're doing your best. You know, you go as good prepared as possible into the day, into the class. You have done everything. You think 1,000 times, should I do this? Bridle, boots, warm-up class, no warm-up class. What shows am I doing before that? What is the best preparation for myself, for the horse to do? And then actually, if you've done everything you can to perform as good as you can, and then it's basically you try your best, and the more you can't do. And I'm always telling myself, and the pressure gets too much, I said, you know what, I'm doing what I can, and then if it should work, it should work, and if not, life goes on, you know, because you can't make yourself crazy about it. And that is what I did. And then my horse gave me a really, really good feeling, and I just, you know, and then you basically you have 1,000 things in your mind before going in the ring. But then once you're in and you're going through the starting line and you see the ears from the horse going forward and focusing the first jump, then it's basically just the only thing you feel is your horse. And then it's actually the nicest moment in the sport, because then you melt together. It's your horse and you basically, your brain, your bodies, it works like one team.
Yeah.
And you know, you feel exactly what the horse feels and what it needs, and it's basically you're just one element. And then for the 71 seconds I would probably not notice if there's a bomb exploding next to me, because you're like an absolute tunnel and you're doing your thing. You're just listening to the horse and to what is next to do and what to jump. And then you're not really nervous. No, you're just doing your job.
Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. I think that is actually how they describe flow. You know, when you are so in sync, you really become one with what you're doing, with, in this case, your horse. You're enjoying it, and it's like time is standing still. You don't notice anything else. What I hear you say is that actually you feel the pressure, but it's putting that to the side and saying, okay, I can't control that. I can't control the outcome. I did everything I could. Now it just, connecting with what really matters in the moment, which is the horse.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Like there's not much you can do. And like I said, as long as you feel, listen, I have done everything to prepare myself as good as I can. And I'm not going to go in the ring and trying to have jumps down by purpose. I will do my best, and on a good day it's enough, and sometimes it's not enough, but I'm not going to make myself crazy about it, what I don't have in my hands. And it doesn't help to you know, you just do what you can, and the pressure is a little bit extra in those team competitions, because it's not just you, Like if I'm jumping a individual competition, let's say the individual final in Milan, it only affects myself and my horse if I have one down and I'm not winning. But in that moment in the team there's team investors, there is the stable, there is my teammates. If I have one down, I let a lot of people down. So there is extra pressure. And so you try to be extremely good and extremely focused. But I always tell myself, listen, I do what I can, but not more than that.
Yeah, powerful. You've had a lot of successes. However, the journey towards that, like, how has that been? Have you faced any challenges?
Yeah, I mean, every rider has had ups and downs, but I think, and especially my career, is extreme for ups and downs. What I have been gone through with my horses in the last 20 years was extremely painful, and yeah, I think our sport is really tough in that way, because if you're a sprinter and you do the 100 meters, the only thing you have to focus is your body and your performance, but you're not working together with horse owners, a horse which needs to be sound and needs to be on the same level as you. So there is more things in our sport to look at, and I think this is something what really keeps you with both feet on the ground, that this sport teaches you very quick. You can be a winner one day and it can go great, but in the next day you can lose everything. And I have had that situation so many times in my career, and that's why I think I'm pretty humbled and I enjoy the moment. I'm really thankful for my results, but I know exactly without the horses, sound horses with owners in my background, you're nothing. How there's one saying, a rider without a horse is just a human, but a horse without a rider is still a horse. So that's very true. So you need both, and both need to be in top form to perform well. And if one little detail doesn't work, you're losing, and that's tough.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about some specific tough moments, and what have you learned from them?
Yeah, there's a couple situations in my career who have been extremely painful, but of course, of the painful ones, you learn most. I think you learn most of the bad times than you learn actually from your winnings. From your winnings, you don't learn so much. You get a better person, a better rider, stronger in your mentality with the negative things, not with the positive things. I believe. And for instance, it started early. Like I was very good as a junior young rider. I won basically everything in Germany, in Europe, and then I came to Ludger, and basically I was just one of those young riders with a lot of feeling but no real plan behind it, because I was young and I just wanted to win, and I had feelings, so I won a lot, but I didn't really understand the real key of riding. And then from being a top junior young rider, very successful, coming to Ludger, and then being there the first 2 years, basically riding only more or less just self-bred young horses over 80 centimeters, and really failing, like really noticing that I cannot ride. Like I could go to the competition, you could put me on a horse and I could win, yes, but I had no clue how to develop a horse, how to ride it with dressage, to bring it along, to make the right plan. I had absolutely no clue. And I was supposed to be there only for 6 months in the beginning, but I felt after 6 months, shit, if I really want to do that, I have to go through that hard time and really learn everything again from the base. And that was, I felt I really need to go through that. I need to put my own interest in winning and competition in the background, and learn the real basis. So for the first 2-3 years, I had no success. I was basically a lot in the stable and trying to learn and learning from Marco and trying to understand. And obviously, then everything went worse for a moment. So you go from your natural skilled rider to not just natural, to also have your go a bit away from your feeling and work more like in a consistent program. I was completely lost for a long time. And I had, of course, doubts also. I said, shit, this is a real hard one, and really bad shows. I had bad results. And I felt, wow, this is much harder than I thought. But I think this is the moment where the good ones, they go through it, and the ones who are not really motivated enough, they give up in that moment. And I think that moment also, then when I felt, okay, now I'm getting somewhere, feels extra good then.
Yeah.
But this was definitely 2 hard years, but made me, I think, a much better rider, and much stronger also in my takings. And then I won. I was in Aachen when I was 24, 23. My first year in Aachen, I was selected there from the young under 25 academy to go there. I could jump, and I had a very successful weekend in Aachen as a newcomer. I didn't win anything, but I was always in every class. I was placed well, and I got a little cocky and said, "Oh, now it's going well." And then after that successful show in Aachen, I went to my hometown Munich, where I'm actually from, and I said, "Wow, everything goes well." I brought the same 3 horses than I had in Aachen, to my home crowd, to the people I haven't seen or haven't been competing in south of Germany for a long time. And I thought, I'm gonna win. That's only a 3-star, and I'm gonna win everything there. The first day I jumped the 3 horses, I was eliminated in all 3. One I crashed, the other one stopped on the water, and the third horse I was so disappointed. I forgot the course or something, I can't remember. So it was a horrible day. And then I had Ludger on the phone, and he gave me the right words, because I thought, young and cocky, and goes on like that. I had to drive home the same day. It was a long drive home, I think 12 hours in the truck. I had a lot of time to think of it. But this is also some experience you really have to make. At one point in the qualification for the European Championships, my horse stopped on the water. I fall off, and basically without that, I would have been in for the Europeans, and I was really disappointed. And Ludger gave me also a very wise words. I don't know how to translate it correct, but in Germany it says, hinfallen ist keine Schande, aber liegen bleiben. Means basically it's not the end if you fall, it's just the end if you don't get up again.
Yeah.
So you have to always make sure, okay, you have to come out of your bad times and of your mistakes even stronger, and get up and keep on fighting. And that was also something, a very good advice, what he gave me. But it's exactly like that. And I think it's not just if you want to be successful in the sport, if you want to be successful in a business or whatever you're doing in life, you have to go through it, and you have to fight through it. And there's nothing for free in life, and also in our sport. So you have to really be aware that it's also coming in tough times.
Yeah, I think this really resonates, I'm sure, for a lot of people. First of all, what I hear you say is you have to dig deep at times to get to the other side, to get to success. It's not just a straight line. You have to sometimes really mentally dig deep to push through. In that time, you said 2-3 years where you really had to learn the technical side of the riding, where you weren't winning. Did you ever feel like giving up?
I had no clue when I first got there how complicated and how difficult it is, because I thought, oh wow, I'm 18 years old. I jump 150s. I'm the best rider, the best young rider in Germany. I thought I'm a superstar, and I thought, okay, you just need the horses, and that's it. But I had no clue how bad I was actually. Like how no idea I had. I'm from the technical side, and I think that just talent alone doesn't bring you consistently on the high level to perform well over years. But on the other side, just the technical side without the talent and the feeling also doesn't get you there. So it has to be really like, if you want to perform well over many years and with many different horses, also different types of horses, the one with smaller ones, bigger ones, less blood, more blood. So as a real complete rider, you have to be able to ride all of them. And that is then is a totally different game. and was much more complicated than I thought. And I felt a couple of times, never really that I said, okay, you know what, I'm giving up, because to be very honest, what options did I have? I wasn't great in school. Wanted to get out of school as fast as I can to go and ride. I had at home my parents doing horses, so it's not I didn't have so many options. I didn't have rich parents basically saying, "Oh, you know what? Come home and you can come into the company and work there." So I had no other options, and I really wanted to do it, and I really wanted to get through there. And I think having no other options and really wanting it hard is also the reason why I went through it, and I came out positive out of it.
Yeah, and yet I think it's very powerful to hear also from you, because we see the successes, but from the outside you wouldn't know that you had to go through that as well. You know, I think a lot of people coming into the sport, people I talk to, they feel like, why is it just tough for me? But it's the same for everyone, and it's something that is part of the journey that you go through to help shape you, to help shape your character, to be able to deal with the pressure in the moments that you need to perform. That happens years before, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's not easy, and I believe also that it got harder, and it gets harder and harder because everything got more expensive. The horses are more rare than they've been probably 20 years ago. There's so much more demand and so much more need on good horses than actually the breeders can produce. So for a young upcoming person, it's very hard to make it, but it's not impossible. And if you also look in the world ranking, I don't really like the when young people say, "Oh, it's money is involved." I mean, if you go in the world ranking and you just check the top 50 in the world, I don't think there's one single person coming out of a financial strong background.
Exactly.
They're all horse people. They're all been going through their hard times. And I think if you really want to make it to the very top, it's probably more an advantage to come from a horse-related family, and you've been really growing up with the feel for horses and the need of horses, and being able to produce horses is more important than having a strong financial background.
Yeah. Another side to you that I experienced about 5 years ago when I created a new website. You reached out to me, and you sent me some really nice words that you enjoyed reading my website, that you very much agreed with my philosophy, even though you barely knew me. I think we met maybe once before, and over time I've actually heard from some other people that you tend to do this, congratulate people, reaching out. In a sport where one tends to focus quite a lot on themselves, this is quite rare to see someone being thoughtful like that. How do you see that?
Oh, it's hard to talk about myself in that thing, but I think if somebody does well or somebody does something extremely good, I don't have any enemies. I think I get along well with anybody, and I never had in my career a moment where I say, "Oh, I'm not happy for another person to win." I think I have it in my hands, and if somebody's better that day, he's better, and if he been doing an unbelievable performance, or is just just one of those jump offs which you can't beat, or been going through a difficult time with his horse and now coming back, and I know exactly how it feels for this guy. I'm sending him a message. I think it doesn't hurt, and I really feel in that moment like that. And if I read a good article, for instance, which I believe is good, then I think it's good to get feedback. But it will be also negative. I also tell some people which I don't agree with, or riding bad, or also doing a writing a wrong article or doing something wrong. I will also tell them straight out that I don't agree with it. So I'm very open like this, and this is just the way I am. But in general, I'm anyway I'm interested in the sport. I really like the sport, but in my life there is more things than just the sport. I like it and I love it, but I'm interested in anything. Like I go through the street and I watch buildings, I watch what people do, I watch different businesses. I'm very open for anything else than just the sport.
Does that help you as a writer?
I don't think so, but I don't care. I mean, I only live one time, and if I like other things also to do, or yeah, it doesn't matter if it's political things or businesses or the farming machines or any kind of things or nature or different trees, or I don't know what it is, but I like to be open for anything, and I always try to learn more things. And I like if I ask myself a question and I can't find the answer, it drives me crazy. And nowadays you can Google a lot of things, so that helps. But I try to die as a wise man one day.
Where do you see the sport going in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think for the moment the sport is booming a lot. There's so many more people want to come in it, and you see all the shows exploding from numbers of starters on all levels. We have new regions coming up with a lot of interest, also financially strong regions. There is definitely a couple new markets, like the whole Asian market is upcoming. The Middle East is very strong, for sure. America, so there is a lot of people coming into the sport, which is great. They all need good horses. Then this is, I think, the hardest part for the moment for a lot of people is to find good enough horses. What I don't like is that basically the interest of producing horses and the knowledge of producing horses is not really gone up. I think back in the years, 15, 20 years, there were more people basically happy to produce young horses or buying a young one, producing it, and then riding it. Nowadays, everybody new coming in a sport, they want a ready horse, like getting on and ready to win. And they're not really looking at the fun side, bringing a horse up. I think for me, it's so much more than just going to the competition and jumping. Like everybody wants to jump, going to an international two-star show and riding, instead of probably riding at home and bringing a young horse up, or going to local shows, which for me is as much fun as actually competing on a high level. And this horsemanship is something we are missing, and this is a really bad thing. I think it's very important, which means for the future, for the younger generation, there will always be a need of horse people and knowledgeable young upcoming people who know the basic work. And I think if you are new in the sport and you want to succeed somehow, and you probably don't have the financial background to just buy your toy and go into the big competition, if you're good in the basics, there will be always a job, and you will always make money, and you will have success if you're good in the basics.
Again, wise words. Any specific goals that you still want to achieve?
I want to win the Olympics next year.
Very clear.
Yeah, I mean, I won Aachen, I won Calgary, so I won the two biggest Grand Prix there are out there. Like I said last week, the overall in the global tour and the Super Grand Prix in Prague, we won. So the only thing my career, what really drives me, like I really want to do, is the World Equestrian Games, or for sure the Olympics, as a main goal. As a rider, when I started, I always talked about winning the Grand Prix of Aachen and winning the Olympics. So, and now the Olympics are next year, so
yeah,
that's my goal.
When do you start preparing for the Olympics? Have you already started?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have this one very specific, very good horse, Cineday, I knew since 2 years that it's really in the horse, that he can really make a difference at the championship, not just competing, that he can really be a different animal and a different performer on those levels. And since then, I basically 2 years ago, last year, to bring him up carefully. And since the last 12 months, for sure, all my decisions I did this year is not for the results I had this year. Is always in the background. Is it good for next year, or is it too early? So my decision to jump in the Grand Prix of Aachen was: does it help me in my evolution and education towards next year, or is it too early? European Championship, is it good for him to have already done a championship and gain some experience, or is it too early and it's better to wait? So every decision I did this year with him was with a long-term plan for Paris next year.
Yeah, powerful. I mean, a few weeks ago or a few months ago now, the first interview we did was actually with Steve Gerda, just before the Europeans, and he said exactly the same. You don't prepare for an Olympic Games 3 months out. You know, you have to start years in advance. So what I'm hearing you say is, yeah, like every decision you've made this year is all been with, you know, that focus of next year in Paris. Is it going to help the horse? Is it educational for the horse? Is it going to prepare us in the best way possible?
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the Europeans, you have, on the one hand, you could give the horse, and so my horse is 9 years old. Next year in Paris, he will be 10. Will it help him to have already mileage on the championship, knowing how he reacts speed class first day, then 2 rounds Nations Cup on the Sunday, different jumps, spooky things, having the pressure of a championship? Or is the pressure on his stage of experience too much, and is it too early? And then you always have to see, okay, what is it the right decision, or is it the wrong decision? And thank God, it looks, for the moment, it looks like it's been the right decision, not because of the result of the championship. The main thing was basically, it wouldn't help me if I win the silver medal at the European Championship and everybody says, great, right decision. But I feel like afterwards he comes in a hole and he feel like, oh, he suffered too much of it. But I had the feeling even after the championship he is at the same level or even better than he was at the championship. So that's something, it's not really the performance at the championship, it's also like how he took it afterwards.
So before going to the Europeans, like, how do you know what decision to make? Like, do you go to give him that experience, or is it too soon? How do you know? How did you make that decision?
I jumped Aachen with him on. I had 2 horses in good shape. I jumped on Wednesday in the big class Kobe. He was clear, and I jumped on Friday in the big class Sunday, and he jumped clear. And I skipped the jump off because I felt like he doesn't need to do the jump off. And then I said, okay, how do we do with Aachen? And then I said, you know what, he's in shape, he's ready. He jumped 4 of 5 shows in a row on grass. He was in La Baule, in Hamburg, in Wiesbaden. I said, you know what, I think it's good, and then we see a little bit how he is. But then again, I gave him 3 weeks after that. I gave him a break. I did one national show, and then I jumped him here in Riesenbeck. And then I saw, oh wow, he in Riesenbeck he felt unbelievable. I said, wow, okay, he took that big question well. And then after that, so I spoke also to our chef d'équipe after Aachen. He said, listen, do you want to jump the Europeans or not? What do you think? I said, you know what, give me 2 more weeks to see how he took this Aachen week to decide. And then I jumped him here in Riesenbeck at the global tour, and he felt great. And then said, you know what, I think he's physically able to do it, and let's go for it.
Okay, so it sounds like by listening and really tuning into your horse and listening to all the feedback you get from your horse, you then decide what you feel, you know, the horse is ready or not. Is that right?
Absolutely. And it's for sure you can get advices from other people, your trainer, the people you trust. But in the end, you need to really listen into your horse, and the horse tells you, is he ready for it? Is he not ready for it? Is he ready to beat the leading time in this jump off? is he ready for that class? Is he ready for this competition? Or is it better to wait? And obviously also with more experience, getting a little older, you know more, you learn from your mistakes you have done, and you learn from the times you've been probably pushing the horse too early. And that helps for sure. I think this is also why in our sport you have young people winning, and on the other side you have also older people winning. I think the young ones are extremely motivated and body-wise fresh and keen to win, and that's why they have good results. And the older ones, they are probably, their body isn't working as great as the young ones, but they are wiser. They have been going through more things, and that's why both groups of riders can compete together, and you can't say younger ones are more successful than older ones. But I've been a totally different rider 20 years ago than I'm now. Now I'm probably not as crazy anymore and keen and doing crazy things and winning sometimes. Now I probably ride with more brain and more experience, and I can still compete against the young ones. But you know, I think this is very rare in our sport, and that makes our sport also very unique, that you can do it till a high age. I mean, look at John Whittaker, how he performed in Prague last weekend. It's incredible how this man can still do it with so much feeling and going through so many things, and just him and his horse in the simplest possible way on that level. And it's a pure joy to see him ride, or you see his teammate Jill Thomas, 21 years old, riding great. So it's everybody can do that sport to a high age, and I think this is also something very cool.
It sure is. Final question: do you have any advice for young riders coming up, wanting to succeed, just like yourself?
Yes, I think first of all, never give up. Be realistic. Don't dream from something too crazy. Also you have to enjoy the daily work with the horses, and you have to really like what you're doing at home. And if you are just having fun in the events and at the shows, and you don't really enjoy working with the horse every day together with them at home, you should better stop riding or just do it for fun. But if you want to be really professional and you want to be successful on a long term, on a high level, you need to love what you're doing every single day.
Great. Amazing advice. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you for your time. I have a little gift for you. As a thank you, this is my book, Winning Habits.
Very good.
For you to read.
Thank you very much.
And I very much already look forward to your feedback.
Perfect.